It's Monday, January 22nd. I'm Scott.
And I'm Rim.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight we discuss text editing.
Let's do this.
So I'm super bored at work lately.
How bored could you be?
More bored than usual.
I think the amount of work we do at any given time is inversely proportional. Because I've actually been doing a lot of work at work. In fact, tomorrow, I'm going to be working late.
I'm trying to actually I'm putting more effort into finding new work, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It doesn't look like I go to the postings and stuff, and there's a few good things, and I send applications, but, you know, it's not like there's a plethora of awesomeness. Mostly it's because I'm too picky. I'm like, no, not that one. Not that one. Nope. Yeah. Actually, what I'm doing more at work than programming is building furniture.
Well, if they're paying you a programmer's salary to build furniture.
Well, you know, it's just they brought all this furniture to the office, and a lot of it's not built. So I just kind of, when I got nothing better to do, I build a piece of furniture.
I just would have built it all in like 1 week and been done with it.
Yeah. I could have done that, but yeah, I'm pretty good at building together 3-file rolling cabinets. This is one bitch, though, because the bottom drawer has a wheel on the bottom of it because the way it works. And it's really a bitch to get that wheel on there.
Well, why don't you subcontract this out?
All right, come to my office, and we'll put together furniture.
I'll do it for 98% of your salary.
No.
97.5.
Of your salary to me? Yeah, sure. For the privilege of being allowed to put together the furniture.
Yeah, now you might be wondering, Rim's working late tomorrow? What happened to his philosophy of 40 hours? And I can say very simply that by working late that one day, I will in turn get an extra vacation day with which I can go to Katsukan.
Woohoo! So it's kind of a profit because you're not going to be working 8 hours late.
Plus, I'm going to get 2 days worth of work done for 1 day's commute.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, not too bad at all. I should do this more often. I wish I could work holidays because my company crazily reimburses me if I work a holiday. I'll work any holiday.
Didn't they not let you work a holiday when you wanted to?
They never let me work holidays.
Yeah, it's like, no, we don't want to pay you that money. Go home.
Because even though I'm salaried, I get time and a half and an extra vacation day and all this other stuff.
Yeah, I got to ask for Katsukan off. All right.
You'd better do that because we're slated to be there.
It's not really like I ask, it's I tell. I'm not going to be there these days. See ya.
Yep. Right, so being Science and Tech Day, which also includes internet stuff, in the news, Wikipedia is changing one of their policies regarding links, and from now on, any link going out of Wikipedia will be nofollow.
Dun dun dun.
Now, if you don't know what that means, very simply, a nofollow link is a link that search engines know to ignore.
Yeah, what happened is people have blogs, and you can post comments on blogs. Now, the way Google works is if there are a lot of websites out in the world that link to your website goes up in Google. So,
and the higher up those websites that link to you are, the more boost they give to you when they link to you.
Right. So if, let's say in the olden days, I would go to a very popular blog with a high page rank and many visitors. And I would post a comment, and in that comment, I would link to my website. Now, maybe no one will click on that link. That's fine. Because now, if people search for certain things on Google, my website will be much higher up, possibly on the front page. Now, imagine if I post comments on lots of blogs. Now we got trouble. So they invented this thing called rel equals nofollow. And what they do is in your blog software, you make it so that when anyone posts a comment to your blog, that it's a nofollow link, which means the search engine ignores it in terms of ranking. So no matter how many nofollow blogs you put comments with links to your website on, it's not going to help you out.
Now, this isn't like a mandatory technological thing. It's just data that a search engine can use. I mean, if Google really wanted, they could ignore this.
Yeah, they could.
It's
but
entirely
it's actually
voluntary.
something they invented.
Yes, hence.
To help out blog spam. It basically says, hey, blog spammers, come, spam all you want. It's not going to help you because there's no follow.
Yeah, it's not like anyone actually follows those spam links in blogs.
Yeah, and there's actually a program, Akismet, which, for WordPress at least, I don't know if it works in other blog software, that filters out blog spam very effectively.
Yeah. Now, the issue with Wikipedia was that, I mean, if you just tried to stick links to your crap, anywhere normal.
Yeah,
on
like
Wikipedia
let's say I
where-
had a website about pharmaceutical drugs. I'd go to like the Wikipedia page for the disease that's related to those drugs and put links to my crap drugstore.
Well,
in
no, I mean,
there.
like in general, you could just put links in high traffic areas to get traffic, but Wikipedia mods are smart, and those links disappear immediately.
Yeah, they disappear pretty quickly, but
No,
know.
almost immediately. There's very rarely in high traffic areas is there any vandalism like that for any length of time. Links are looked at much more readily than small changes.
Yep.
But the problem was people were going to not often visited web pages in Wikipedia or discussion pages or areas where there wouldn't be people. And they would just post link after link after link to their stupid bullshit website trying to get click-through money, whatever. And they do this to raise their page rank. So now this won't work. So those people can keep doing that. It doesn't hurt Wikipedia because no one really goes to those parts of Wikipedia yet anyway. But now those people are just wasting their time. Their links do absolutely nothing.
Huh? I guess it sucks for them.
Now, there are people on the internet complaining, saying that this is somehow bad of Wikipedia, or evil, or wrong, or it hurts them in some way. And I submit that the vast majority of those people are scumbags who were profiting from this in some way and are now mad about it. I mean, we got quite a bit of page rank from Wikipedia. We're linked to on Wikipedia in several places because we have relevant interviews and content. But we're not complaining about this at all because this is definitely what I think Wikipedia should do. There should be no incentive to be linked to from Wikipedia independent of the merit of your information.
Yeah. There are just too many people out there who try to do things like to increase their traffic to their websites and to their podcasts and to their blogs by means other than simply creating content and waiting for people to come.
By the same token, the only people that use these services are people who either don't know better or honestly probably don't have content that deserves to be at the top of Google.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems to me like I look at it from two perspectives is that like there's this sort of field of dreams model where you build it and they will come. And it seems like any other model you follow other than that seems sort of illegitimate on the web. Like the only way to go without people looking down upon you is to make a website and just hope people show up. But at the same time, it's like, you can't do anything at all without people looking down on you.
Except
So-
you really shouldn't be. I mean, buying ads somewhere is different from that because that's straight up, and while I don't look at ads, at least it's a straight up and open business transaction. Nothing wrong with that. The problem is when people try to game the system. Say Google doesn't rank your page highly. That means that either no one else likes your page, or your page has problems, or your content's crap.
But what if just no one's discovered your page yet and it's actually really good and they never going to discover it because it's so low on Google, blah, 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 blah. Argument that some asshole makes, blah, blah, blah.
Well, my argument against that is that almost every major website out there now that's worth a damn grew entirely by random word of mouth.
Yeah, you didn't see Dig doing any of this search engine optimization crap.
Yeah, that
You didn't see YouTube doing any of this search engine optimization crap.
that Geeknights podcast never did any of that.
Yeah, it's simply by the merit of what they offered on their website, they became popular.
Because remember, there are people who will troll around the bottom of Google looking for cool stuff to try to be the first one to dig it. If your content is out there and is worth a damn, odds are people are going to find it one way or another. It might take a while, but people will find it.
Yeah. And it's a good way to start is just, it's okay to just tell your friends to go to your website.
Yeah, I mean, God, the front row crew going to our website was our only listenership for the first week.
Yeah. Oh, well. Okay, so I got two newses, but I'm going to combine them sort of.
Uh-huh.
The first, they're both newses about new versions of software. The first version of software that came out is XFCE 4.4. It just came out. For those of you who don't know, on Linux, there are many, many different desktops you can choose from, but XFCE is the third most popular, for good reason.
I prefer GNOME.
Yeah. GNOME is, GTK. It's based on the GTK GUI library, and KDE is based on the Qt GUI library.
KDE and Qt can die in respective fires.
KDE.
Well, I'll admit I have not used KDE in about 2 years.
I used to use KDE, and now I'm still probably not going to use KDE, but I'm realizing that a lot of KDE applications are pretty good.
Yeah, but I just have Qt installed.
Yeah. Me too. Okay. Anyway, XFCE uses the same library as GNOME, but it's light. It's sort of like people would get pissed if you called it GNOME Light but that's kind of what it is. It's light, it's fast, but it has all the desktop-y features that you need and none of the ones you don't. And if you want to try out XFCE, a good way to do it is to use Xubuntu, Xubuntu.
As opposed to Kubuntu or Ubuntu.
Yes, Ubuntu uses GNOME, Kubuntu uses
Kubuntu.
KDE, and Xubuntu
Xubuntu.
with an X uses XFCE. Now, if you already have like Ubuntu installed, you can apt-get install KDE desktop you can apt-get install Kubuntu-desktop or Xubuntu-desktop, so you can actually have all three of these things on one computer without having three separate operating systems. Anyway, in the new version of XFCE 4.4, they added some new stuff. First thing, they added a new text editor, which is relevant to our show today, called Mousepad. And I haven't tried it, so I can't say anything about it, but it looks pretty fun. The other thing they added is they made, this is funny because Rim just had a panel problem with this 2 seconds ago, is they made their panel more stable.
God damn.
Basically, the way the panel used to work is like if a part of the panel would crash, the whole thing would crash. Now every part of the panel gets its own separate process and everything. So if like you install a panel applet that kind of sucks and it crashes, it'll just disappear and your panel will still be there. And it'll be more stable and awesome. It
wasn't just my panel that crashed, though. It was pretty much everything.
Yeah, I don't know what happened within your GNOME panel.
Well, we got this. I mean, it's the computer with the $20 motherboard. And just now, before we did the show, I booted it. And instead of booting like normal, it just one by one, every single thing that started on boot crashed. And I think if I'd let it keep going, eventually everything would have crashed.
Maybe. But anyway, XFCE 4.4 is an awesome new version. It has a lot of new features and bug fixes that I don't want to mention. And you should definitely try, if you're trying Linux, you should at least try XFCE, GNOME, and KDE to see which one you like best. There are others out there, but odds are if you're not a super nerd and super Linux master, you're going to have a hard time using them because you won't have a clue what to do.
Actually, if you want to make a very customized but very not pretty one really, really quickly and learn a lot about text editing config files, IceWM is a great way to go.
Yeah, I don't know if that's still maintained. I should go look that up.
I don't know either, but before I left IBM, I standardized them on that.
Yeah, it's a good one, especially when you need stability and users don't need to do too much. That's a good one.
I mean, honestly, I would still recommend IceWM if you're going to make a grandma PC. Because it's just...
I don't know about that. Well, XFCE is pretty good for a grandma PC.
It depends. I mean, remember, because grandma, if she's ever used a computer before, then you can make it look exactly like Windows 98.
There's actually another desktop environment that looks exactly like Windows, but I forget what it's called.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can make it look like it with the start menu, but just don't add anything else to it. So the start menu just has internet, email, and MP3 player.
Yeah. Anyway, the other big software release that just happened minutes ago is WordPress 2.1.
Ooh, baby.
You know what they got in this? Oh, you're going to like this.
What did they add? I
ready?
didn't even look at the changelog.
You ready? I'm not installing it on our servers yet.
Install it on the test server.
Yeah, I'm gonna, but you're going to have to wait for the real server. But anyway, you ready for this?
I want it to be in production now.
You ready for this? Okay, here you go. First, auto-saving of drafts.
I will note that in the last year, or give or take, I have probably lost maybe 30 posts to timeouts or internet blips or whatnot.
So this is hotness with the Ajax. Number 2, better image upload handling. We don't do that too often, but if you're the kind of person who makes blog posts with pictures in them, it's real easy to just upload them from the WordPress interface without having to upload them manually by some other means and something like that. It can also like thumbnail them and all kinds of stuff for you. You don't have to do much.
Depending on how we change up the website when we eventually update it.
Yep. They've got a new migrator thing, so if you're upgrading from an old version of WordPress, it's easier to get to this new version. Old plugins might not work.
Oh, that's a great feature.
They're no longer supporting MySQL 3.23. You have to use MySQL 4 or higher, which is probably something you should be doing anyway.
Yeah.
The visual editing interface, the rich text editor, no longer sucks.
We'll see about that.
They've actually got 2 tabs, visual and code, instead of having the HTML code pop up.
Ooh.
Yeah. It supposedly sucks now, not.
I wonder if it'll work better, because I noticed something really weird about WordPress editing in that box currently.
Mm-hmm.
If I use Opera versus new Firefox versus old Firefox, it behaves completely differently.
Yeah, it uses a thing, right now it uses a thing called TinyMCE, and I don't know much about that thing, but it doesn't work well. And they've updated the rich text editor significantly. We'll test it on the test server to see how much better it is. I actually become so frustrated with the old rich text editor that I stopped using it, and I turned off rich text editing in my options.
Yeah, I never did that just because it works. As long as I use the one version of Firefox, it seems to work okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now here's a big deal change. You ready? They've merged links and categories because they realized that links are really only being used for like blog rolls and that sort of silliness, and there's not really a point. So they just made links and categories the same kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So what happens if you upgrade from an old WordPress, they put all your links into the blog roll category. And that's it.
All right then.
Yeah. So now there's no longer this weird you can't just make big lists of links for no reason. You put them in categories. There might be posts in those categories too, and I think that's actually makes a lot more sense and you could do a lot more interesting things.
Yeah, that's something I might want to poke around with just to see how they've done it and how we could make use of it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what we want anyway. Plus, I really don't like all those WordPress blogs that have just piles of links on the side.
Yeah.
That's always such a low-class style. It's like, what are you doing, man? I don't want that.
Yeah, I mean, what I don't mind, and one of the ideas I've been tossing around and sketching for the site is, some sites like Penny Arcade has the main thing, and then each person or Mega Tokyo is a good example. Each person has like a little box where they say stuff.
Oh, it's a good idea.
Yeah, I'll show you the design I've been working on.
Uh-huh.
I had some idle time today.
I didn't think about that. I can go for that.
Yeah, well, big changes coming possibly.
Yeah.
We'll see how well our ideas actually work on a website.
Yeah.
But if in a situation like that, I see nothing wrong with each person having like a box in their box that's like my current hot link or whatever. I've seen people do that to okay effect.
Yeah,
but
I'm not a fan of like the links on their own. Like, here are some sites you should check out, and then like 10 links. I like the ones where if you're gonna send me a link to something, right, you should write a post and then link the words in the post, like you're saying something.
Well, I mean, it does depend on what you're doing. Like, if you're a webcomic and you are like affiliated or friends with 10 other webcomics, and you all put like an affiliate section,
I would just. See, in that kind of case, what you would do is, let's say you were all the same kind of webcomic, right? You would make up something.
You could make a web ring.
Yeah, no, you don't make a web ring. That's the old style. What you do now, for example, a lot of podcasters are doing this, is they say, we're part of the so-and-so podcast network. And then they set up another website for the podcast network, and everyone on their own podcast websites puts like a little badge.
I'll admit, though, that
and in their podcast, they say, we're a member of the such-and-such podcast network.
A lot of people who do that, if you Google for their podcast, you get the network page first, and it's just confusing.
Yeah. I'm not. Notice how we haven't joined any podcast networks?
Well, also because we dislike the vast majority of podcasts.
I know, but...
I mean, pretty much the podcasts we like are mostly the podcasts that we're friends with the people who do them. I don't know if one causes the other, or if it's just a coincidence, or what, but...
Yeah. Another thing that WordPress has come out with in the newest version that someone might care about is there's a lot of privacy features where you can easily, without editing robots.txt files, make your blog private and keep it out of search engines and directories and all sorts of stuff. So if you want to make a blog just for your family or just for your friends, or keep the whole world from looking at it, you can do that now with WordPress very easily.
Huh.
Whereas before, that was slightly more difficult because, anyone could read the blog, but, only certain people could get into the posting interface. Now you can just keep everyone out of your blog, make a private blog.
I don't know. I don't see many people doing that. I don't think
it even says pro bloggers will not find this useful, nor will most bloggers who desire exposure.
Well, I mean, there aren't many people out there who do a blog for any reason other than to get the word out to people they don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess other than the live journal types.
Mm-hmm.
But
it
even
could
then,
be useful, though, like if you want like a shared journal among
Oh,
some
yeah.
people.
I agree entirely, but I don't think many people think to do things like that.
No, this
I
isn't
mean-
going to be a very widely used feature. It's just an interesting feature.
Well, like the front row crew, look at us. We have, I mean, none of you can see it, but our forums are pretty cool. Inside of there, we have our own private forums that we just use for our internal friendly business.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a wiki for a while, but no one used it.
Yeah. The other thing is there's some other changes to stuff under the hood for people who make plugins and themes and all that, but you don't care about that stuff.
Not at all.
But yeah, WordPress 2.1, the hotness. If you're blogging, you should jump on this because it came out just now, 2 seconds ago.
Now, before we get to the things of the day and all that, one quick little meta bit of information for all you out there. I see, once again, a lot of people are joining the forums. And I noticed that a lot of the people who joined the forums never posted. There's a good chance, like with many of the people who joined our forums, that if you use Hotmail or pretty much any non-good email, that our confirmation...
Mostly Hotmail.
Yes, our confirmation/acceptance email that we sent to you was not received. I can tell you all that I have not denied a single person entrance to the forums in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
So if you didn't hear back from us, try logging into your account. It probably just works.
Yep, and you can start posting. I remember I would be on the forums. Someone would apply for membership. I would approve it before they had even left the forums. They were still there. They just registered. I could still see their name on the left side of the page.
Yeah, the only people I've ever denied access to were Flaming Geek 3.0 through 6.0.
God. Yeah.
Things of the day. Now, I might be a psychic, so I'm going to have to call Randy on this one. You'll have to back me up on this. I predict that Sylvia Brown is a fraud.
Well, that doesn't really count. You're not predicting the future. You're stating a fact about the present.
Fine. She will continue to be a fraud in the future.
Oh, you know what? Gravity will continue to function.
Well, you see, the difference between these two claims is that
The laws of thermodynamics will
No.
remain true.
no, the difference between these two claims is that we're not entirely sure if gravity will always work. But we do know that Sylvia Brown will always be a fraud. Now, my news isn't that Sylvia Brown is a fraud, nor is my thing of the day the fact that Sylvia Brown is a fraud. That is common knowledge. At least I wish it was common knowledge. I pray every day that it would become common knowledge.
I don't think the prank's going to help.
Well, no, I pray to the sun and Joe Pesci.
Okay.
But no, my thing of the day here is very simply probably the best debunking video of her yet. You see, she's been a consummate jackass for a long time, and a lot of people believe in this, including Montel Williams.
I don't think I don't know if he actually believes. I think
You know
he
what?
just has nothing better to put in his boring-ass daytime
You know
talk
what?
show.
I submit that whether or not he believes has no bearing on the fact that he acts like he does in a public forum and openly supports this BS.
Yep, he's not a good dude in my book. But
Not at all.
No daytime talk people are good in my book. Unless somehow I got a daytime talk gig. Then I would have the best daytime talk show ever.
You know, I think back to that old Penny Arcade where they gave Gabe a morning show. Fuck you! It's early. Fuck. Fuck. And then they canceled it just like that. Just like that. Anyway, so she did some particularly asshattish things lately. And this CNN bit is basically a compilation of the consummate douchebag that is Sylvia Brown.
Yeah, your kid that's missing. Yeah, he died. A Hispanic guy killed him in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, now let's have the rescue workers search these woods for
Now,
many hours.
one.
Based on some lady's guess.
I blame Sylvia Brown for whatever. I blame the police for even listening to this woman. What the hell is wrong with that police department?
A lot of stupid police departments out there. Police are just people. They're no smarter or dumber than anyone.
Yeah.
Except, well, detectives are smarter.
But the police
Real
chief
detectives.
should know better. And if he doesn't, he shouldn't be a police chief anymore.
Yeah, that real police chief, I don't know.
I mean, it's one thing. A police chief might disagree on whether or not the drug war is a good thing. Or a police chief might disagree about what constitutes a good interrogation of a suspect. But there shouldn't be any debate among police chiefs as to whether or not psychics can find kidnapped people.
Yeah.
The answer is no.
Yeah, I could find one better. You know what I'll do? I guess.
I'm sensing a triangle, like some kind of triangle shape near where you're going to find the body. Some kind of tall, maybe a tree. Starts with a T. Triangle, trapezoid, train tracks. Something with a T like that. See where I'm going?
Trap.
So what do you got?
Trick. Yeah. So this is actually a pretty cool video. You ever been on an airplane and you look out the window and you look at the wing, and the wing just kind of goes wobble, 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 you know? And you go, whoa, it's sometimes in this turbulence, the wing goes wobble, 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 wobble. And you go, whoa, look at that wing flapping around like that.
Well, I remember the first time I flew a Cessna, and the whole plane did that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but like the first few times I flew and I'd look out at the wing and I would see it flapping. I'd be like, whoa, is the wing, because you look at a wing on a big commercial jet when it's on the ground, and it's a big metal wing. You're like, if you jumped and like tried to hang on it with your hands, it wouldn't move. It's like a big piece of metal with a bajillion bolts in it. It ain't going anywhere. Well, apparently turbulence and jet engine speeds are fast enough to make a wing bounce around. Well, just how much can that wing bounce around? What if the turbulence is so crazy? The wing's got to break sometime.
Now, I guess more importantly, how do you figure out the point at which the wing will break? And apparently the answer is the same answer that Calvin's dad gives to him as to how they figure out how much weight a bridge can hold.
Yep. So they made a Boeing 777, and they tied a bunch of cables and shit to the wing, and they bent the wing until it broke. And they had a prediction for when they thought the wing would break, and they discovered the reality for when the wing would break. I will leave those to be a mystery. You can watch the video. You can watch them bend this wing until it breaks. And then you'll probably have a lot of confidence about flying. Unless you're one of those stupid people who are afraid of flying in commercial jets because you're a pussy. I don't know. There's nothing to be afraid of freaking flying. Goddamn.
Depends on what airline. I mean, if I'm flying out of, Mogadishu.
Okay. The only airline you have to worry about is, what's that country in Dilbert? Albonia. Albonian Airlines, you have to worry. But a commercial jet in the United States, I wouldn't worry about it.
No, is it just me, or has Dilbert not been funny for the last, 5 years?
Dilbert is funny once every 4 months, I've discovered.
So that's the current period.
Well, actually, since I have, a Dilbert tear-off calendar, and I read Dilbert on the website, it's funny once every other month.
Until you get repeats.
But you don't remember Dilbert, so if it's a repeat,
I remember
it's
all the Dilbert I read.
I don't.
Well, the thing is, I
only remember the memorable ones.
I remember each archetypical joke. Just like I remember every single Garfield ever.
Oh, well, Garfield, it's the same thing. Isn't it the same comic every day?
It's Monday. I'm tired. I like lasagna.
Push
OMG.
the dog off the table.
There's Nermal. John Arbuckle is gay.
He can't get a woman.
They got that guy.
Yeah.
Right, so this might sound like a strange topic, but it's something that a lot of people don't actually have much experience with, and also, we're tired, so this is a nice quick one.
Mm-hmm.
You see, a lot of people edit text very often, yet they never really think about what kind of text editor they use.
Or they never think about what text editing really means.
Or how certain tasks in text editing could possibly be done more efficiently.
Yeah, there are many, many things that have to do with text editing, so we're just going to talk about text editing.
Now, first, before anything, we really have to clarify that text editing and layout and design are entirely different things.
Well, word processing, desktop publishing, text editing, these are all very different things, even though to the layman, they might seem to be the same thing.
Yeah, because, you use Microsoft Word, and what does it show you? It shows you a piece of paper with a cursor on it, and it shows you what font you're using and how big that font is, and some margins, and all this business. So you're creating your content, your text. Mm-hmm. Simultaneously, you're creating your layout, you're creating your style, you're creating every aspect of that document in real time all at the same time.
Yep.
Now, a lot of people have complained that, sometimes it's confusing. I want to just write my essay, but I spend 10 minutes looking at fonts, and then I think about the word art I want to put in, and then I hit enter, and it makes a weird paragraph I didn't want it to, and I have to back up and try to make it undo that. Mm-hmm. That's because you're trying to make text in something that is designed to do something far different than just make text.
Yeah, well, actually, if you're writing a paper, you should be using a word processor. You should just also learn how to use it so that doesn't happen to you.
More and more, I prefer to write documents, just straight up text demarcated by paragraph, and then I format it later.
That's all right. But anyway, a text editor is something very different from word processor. All it does is write text files. A text file is basically just a big, long string of characters. Some of those characters are the new line character, so that's how you get multiple lines of text. But It's really just a big, long line of letters and spaces and punctuation marks and new lines and carriage returns and all those sorts of things.
Yep, all encoded in like ASCII or Unicode, but you don't need to care about that.
Yeah, that's not important. So basically, hey, if you're not trying to, make margins or italics or bolds or anything like that, you need to put text into a file, a text file, for which there are many, many uses, which we will discuss. There's a lot of ways to do that.
Yeah, for most of you who use Windows, probably the text editor you have the most experience with is notepad.exe.
Yeah. Notepad.exe is there's a lot of Notepad clones out there.
Yes, every program like that is the same.
Yeah. I mean, it works like a word processor, so if you're used to using a word processor, you're used to using Notepad. It just doesn't let you do anything that text files can't do.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, you can set word wrap in the text editor, but that doesn't actually do anything to your document. All that does is wrap the text around in your window in real time.
So that you can see all the letters without them going off the edge.
Yeah, because anything other than the letters you're typing and the punctuation you're typing, all of that is basically metadata that's kind of irrelevant to the actual data you're putting in, the actual content of the words.
Yep. Yeah, so there's Notepad. There's a lot of other Notepad clones out there, too.
Now, the reason this matters in one big respect, aside from, semantics and aside from not distracting yourself from your task at hand, is very simply that if you're writing a file that a computer is going to read, a text file is just that. What you are typing is exactly what is in that text file encoded. Mm-hmm. But in something like, I don't know, write.exe or Microsoft Word or OpenOffice, if you're typing and you save a file, it doesn't just save the string of text. It saves all of this other information in that file saying, all the formatting, all the fonts, all the whatever. So if a computer tries to read that, it has to know exactly how that file was created in order to get the data out of it. Mm-hmm. This is a problem if you want to edit, say, your operating system's hosts.txt and you use Microsoft Office.
Yeah, I mean, technically, Microsoft Word can edit and create text files and things, but it does them like a word processor.
Yes,
it doesn't do them
It's
like
very
a text
easy
editor.
to mess up a text document and make it not just a text
In
document.
fact, just opening it and then saving it again with Word will probably screw it up 90%
yeah, well,
of the
depending
time.
on older versions of Word are more notorious for that.
Yeah. All right, so what other could there possibly be another text editor that isn't Notepad or doesn't work exactly like Notepad? Why would you use something that doesn't work like Notepad? Notepad is just fine. Well, there are two major other ones. There's the Emacs ones and the VI ones, mostly Vim, VI improved, which is VIM.
Yeah, but most people just refer to all of those as just VI.
Yes.
The differences are not noticeable to the average person.
No,
they're not even noticeable really to me.
I noticed the difference between VI and Vim, but I would never use VI, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I used VI once when I was fixing some terrible old Unix system.
Yeah. So what is Emacs? Well, Emacs does kind of work like Notepad. It's you type things in a box and you push enter, and a normal person could open Emacs and start typing in it. However, Emacs, they often joke about it. It's like, it's a great operating system with a bad text editor. I mean, Emacs is full of all sorts of commands, and it's basically so loaded with fancy features for open source people and such that it can do anything. You can play Tetris in Emacs. I kid you not.
Yes, I will say from my perspective, if you were the kind of person who would need Emacs, you probably already know about Emacs.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're talking about, you probably don't need Emacs ever.
Emacs is very popular among those people that we often don't like, who are like super open source. It's also popular among the people who are open source and don't like VI.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is not popular among RIM.
Yes. No. I used to use it, but
I know you used to use it.
I don't use it anymore.
I used to poke fun at it.
Yeah. Emacs, I don't know what it is about Emacs. It seems like it has its place, and there's an eternal battle between Emacs users and VI users. I remember a funny comic where there were like two guys on the beach, and there was, it was the classic, surf dudes who were big muscles and, hot girls in bikinis on the beach. And it's a 2-frame comic. And there's even a 1-frame comic. I don't remember. But one guy punches the other guy right in the face. And he says, "Take that, you Emacs user." And the hot girl on the beach goes, Ooh, John, I always knew you were a real VI man.
But anyway, we don't really, I mean, VI, for most of you, is the same kind of thing. Because you look at it and think, wow, this has got a lot of stuff in it that I don't understand.
Well, the thing about VI is it is fundamentally different from every other text editor that I know of in every way imaginable. If a normal person opened up VI, they wouldn't even know how to begin typing. Because,
let alone how to turn it off.
Yeah, they wouldn't know how to save and quit. You wouldn't know how to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, just an example so you realize here. Say you want to type something. You hit I, and then you start typing. Say you want to...
You could also hit A, or O, or capital O,
now,
or many other letters.
But those all do slightly different things.
They do. They do indeed.
Now, let's say you want to save your file and exit. You hit Escape. You hit Shift:, then you type WQ. Then you hit Enter.
Yeah.
That will write your file out, W, and then quit, Q.
Yeah.
Now, that might sound obtuse, but it's actually a very highly useful and highly sophisticated system if you're willing to put forth the time to learn it.
Yes. VI is what we call a modal editor, which means it has more than one mode. When you open VI, it's in command mode. When you're in command mode, every button on the entire keyboard is a command. So I isn't the letter I, it's the insert command. P will be the paste command. X is delete the current character. And
I shouldn't talk so much. I actually haven't used VI since I left IBM.
Yeah, YY is copy. Like Y5Y is copy 5 lines, and DD is delete the current line. And there's like D5D is delete from here 5 lines down. And that's when you type commands in command mode, which is the mode you enter when you first turn on VI.
Now, the commands can get incredibly complex. I mean, you can use expressions to do such things as find every instance of a certain expression and modify it slightly.
Yeah, you can do almost anything in command mode of VI that you would ever want to do to a text file. Now, certain commands will bring you into insert mode or typing mode or whatever you want to call it, which is where you type. So if you push I to insert, then wherever the cursor is right now, it'll turn into a little stick, and you could just start typing. Now, been typing your document, and now you want to enter a command. So you have to go back to command mode. So you push escape. You see how there's 2 modes of VI. In one mode, every button on the entire keyboard is a special command. And in the other mode, you just type like you're typing. And you push escape, and then a bunch of commands. Escape will get you back to command mode, and there are a bunch of commands that will bring you back to typing mode. Now, who in their right mind would use something like this when you could just use Notepad, which is so much easier? Now, it might seem... I want to make sure everyone understands what I'm about to say.
Complexity and simple versus that whole thing?
I want to talk about how VI is actually easier, as long as you interpret easy in the correct way. VI is not easier to learn than Notepad. VI is easier to use than Notepad if you have learned it. See, let's say you know nothing about VI at all. Well, Notepad you'll be able to type, and VI you won't, so you'll want to kill yourself if you ever have to use VI. Now, let's say you do know how to use VI, and you do know how to use Notepad. Notepad is now a nightmare, because there are things in VI which you would be able to do with, like, pushing 3 buttons, whereas in Notepad, you would have to, press a bajillion buttons, and it would take you forever.
Yep, and some things you might want to do in Notepad, there's just no way to do it automatically. And you would have to, copy and paste and copy and paste and copy and paste.
Have you ever been editing a document ever where you have had to go copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, like a bunch of times, and then edit each different, pasting, a little bit? Like you paste, change a number, paste, change a number in that one, paste, change a number. If you ever done anything like that, guess what? If you knew how to use VI, you could have done all that and saved an hour of work by typing 1 line of text and pushing enter.
Now, this might not be something you'd care about. I mean, let's say you occasionally have to do this for 5 little things. Like you have to do a weird copy, paste, backspace, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thing 5 times on a document every now and then. Then yeah, it's still probably not worth your time to learn VI and use it. But let's say you have to do that to a 1,000-page document. Or you have to do it to a 5-page document every day for an hour. That's when VI really starts to shine. You can do extremely powerful things with just a few quick commands.
Here's an example of something I did with VI just yesterday. Actually, I used sed also, but that's not the point. I was making
Stream editor.
Yeah, I was working on the DVD for the podcast, and there's going to be a little website on the DVD to let you browse the DVD.
Yeah, it's really cool looking.
Yeah, and I had to make links to all the episodes. Now, I made links to all the episodes by writing a little program that outputted the links. Now, I forgot that the episodes are numbered 200 number.
Yep, so he had put them in as all number. The 20 in the year 2007 was left out of the version he was working with.
Yeah, so for example, what's today's episode? Today's episode is 06.
07.
Oh, right.
070122.
All right, so today's episode is 070122. I had, and the MP3, the file name of the MP3 will be 2007 0122. So in VI, I needed to add a 20 to the beginning of every file name of an MP3. So I told VI, hey, VI, look through, and every time you see 6 digits followed by a dot, followed by MP3, take whatever that is. Take those 6 digits, that dot in that MP3, and put a 20 before them. And that was, I don't know, like a very, very small command. It wasn't even like a line. It was maybe 20 characters. And I typed it in, and I pushed enter. And it went through not just my document, but all the documents that I had to change this in. And boom, immediately, they were all changed and fixed. The end. Because I took the time to learn VI. Now, we're not just talking about VI. We're going to talk about text editors as a whole. But
so then the real question is, very simply, why would you even want to bother writing flat text files like this ever when you could just do all the layout and everything at once? And we'll ignore the argument of you're not distracted by the layout, because some people might not be distracted by the layout stuff in Word.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have many more arguments than just that.
Yes. There are many times where text editing is the only way to go. Most of them involve when you're writing something that a computer is going to read and not something that a human is going to read.
Like I think earlier I mentioned that IceWM, you can modify it very heavily with just editing text files.
Mm-hmm.
The way IceWM works is when widgets get loaded or whatever, a thing appears on the screen, all the instructions as to how those things appear on the screen are contained in text files. So you can go into a text file that would define what icons are used in your start menu and change the values in the text file. And then when you restart IceWM, it'll change those things in your thing, because it'll look at the text file, see icon.s whatever, and it'll use that instead of the one it was using before.
Yeah. I mean, it mostly in Linux, but also in other operating systems, including Windows. You're probably used to using programs with graphical user interfaces, where when you want to change the options, you go Edit Preferences or Tools Options, and there's all your options, and you check boxes and radio buttons and text boxes, and that's how you configure your programs and change the settings on various things. You go to your control panel or whatever. Well, a lot of programs out there, in fact, probably most programs out there, if they have options at all, those options are just in text files. Like Apache, if you want to change the web server, there's no GUI. I mean, there's some GUIs you can install that will basically allow you to, change the settings on Apache with, some buttons and some text boxes. But all those really do is they're just programs which convert the GUI things that you do into the text file. And if you really want to do whatever Apache wants you to do and configure it properly, you need to open the Apache configuration files with a text editor and edit them.
Now, there are a lot of reasons programs do this. I mean, one, a text file is very easily read.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy. It's a very simple thing. It's a commonly known standard. Anyone can edit one without any trouble.
Yep.
2, say it's a program that has thousands and thousands of possible options. Your GUI would now have thousands and thousands of little lines with little radio boxes next to them.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about all the possible configurations of an Apache web server, it's basically infinity. You can configure the thing to do anything, and there's a complex language that's in order to configure it. You have little curly braces, and there's all sorts of different commands you can give to it and stuff.
You could configure it to just provide a Java Tetris game no matter what.
Yeah.
And nothing else.
You could configure the Apache web server in so many different ways, and that is because instead of having some simple GUI preferences window, they have a text file. You edit the text file, and that's it. And you could put anything you want in there according to the documentation. That's something actually a lot of people who are new to Linux don't understand is, if you want to configure that, you have to edit a text file.
Yep. I mean, even back when I was taking early IT classes, and there would be people in a class who the lab would say, like, build a simple Samba server and then go to the config and configure it to do X. Now, not only did they not know to look in etc Samba, which might have been the first problem,
Yep.
but they were asking questions like, so where's the configuration program? Or how do I open the configurator? Or how do I open the thing that'll configure it? And the professors really had a hard time explaining, no, you just edit it. Like, what do you mean edit it?
There's a text file with all the options in it, and it actually, in that text file, has comments which explain the options.
Yeah, I mean, most open source programs that are worth a hill of beans will give you a sample configuration file that includes in it, like, commented out instructions like, if you want this kind of widget, then uncomment the following line. If you want this kind of widget, uncomment the following line and change your value here to the value you want. Things like that.
Yep.
They're usually very easy to work with. The problem is you have to actually read, which a lot of people either aren't willing to do or don't realize they have to do.
Yeah, if you're planning on using Linux, even if you're using a nice, easy Linux like Ubuntu or something, and you're never going to have to edit a configuration file in your life, you should still learn how to edit the x.xorg configuration file, even if you never have to do it.
Because eventually you're going to have to do it.
You might have to do it, and if you don't, it could be devastating if you don't know what to do. So you should learn that no matter what, even if you never run into it. It's worth it to know. And also just to learn how to edit configuration files. The other time you probably want to use text editor besides editing configuration files is writing source code. I mean, you don't see people writing programs. You know, if I'm writing code in C, I'm not writing C code in Microsoft Word. That doesn't work. You write it in a text editor. And if that text editor has lots of advanced features like VI or NEdit or Emacs.
Or like Ultra Edit.
Yeah.
All those things.
Or any of those fancy text editors, it suddenly becomes a lot easier to write source code.
Yeah, I mean, imagine you're writing code. So you have open parens all over the place, open parentheses and open carets, things like that. What if you had a text editor that would look and see if every open you had an equivalent close, and it would mark in red any that weren't closed? It'd be real easy to track down that missing semicolon then.
Yeah, it's like when I type a closed parenthesis, it lights up the open parenthesis that I just closed, so I can make sure that I'm still going straight. Also, a lot of languages have, indentation that's important, like Python, where indentation is the most important thing. And if the text editor is smart and not crappy as Notepad, it'll keep that indentation correct for you automatically. You won't have to be like, enter, tab, 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 enter, tab, tab, tab. It'll just, when you push enter, the tab's in the right spot. And languages that indent based on curly brace, like you'll put the closed curly brace, and it'll untab it for you and put it back where it belongs. And when you push enter, you'll be on the next line in the correct spot. And it's all happy times.
So at the very least, I hope in the future, if you're ever writing a document and you're using Microsoft Word, at least think a minute and consider the possibility that maybe there's a better tool for what you're trying to do at the moment.
Yeah. Also, if you're happen to be learning Linux or anything, or using any sort of application that might have a text configuration file, or maybe you just want to learn something about computers because you don't know anything, you should learn how to edit a text configuration file.
Yes.
For some sort of program. I mean, every program, the configuration files look different, but that's an essential skill of computing, and it probably always will be. Oh, yeah, and you should learn VI, even if it's hard and it seems annoying and there's no point to it.
Even if you don't learn the advanced stuff. I mean, even people who use VI all the time don't know everything about VI.
I know like half the stuff about VI.
But in the very least, partly because you might someday run into an old computer or a computer where X isn't working and VI is the only thing on there.
Yeah, that's one thing that's true is VI will run on any computer ever pretty much. Even if you come across the oldest, most broken computer in the entire universe, you'll be able to use VI, and if you can use VI, you can do anything.
And that was Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for our opening theme.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com. If you like our podcasts, you'll love our forums. Make sure you visit them. You can send your email feedback to geeknights@gmail.com. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail at 206-333-1537.
Geeknights airs every weeknight, Monday through Thursday.
Geeknights is recorded with absolutely no studio and no audience. But unlike those other talk shows, it's It's actually recorded at night.